You're not lazy. You're not broken. You're just trapped. Trapped in mental loops you didn't create. Every day you wake up, determined to change. But something invisible pulls you back. You feel the weight, but you don't know its name. It's not your fault. The world trained your mind to doubt, delay and distract. But what if I told you, the prison isn't made of walls, it's made of thoughts. And today, we're going to break them. This is not just another motivational talk. This is a mental awakening. And it starts right now. Weakness is rarely about physical strength. It's about mental conditioning. Most people don't realize that what's holding them back isn't a lack of discipline. It's the presence of hidden patterns. These patterns run deep, planted by society, past failures, and even silent fears. You try harder, you push yourself, but progress is fleeting because you're battling symptoms, not the source. True transformation begins when you confront the silent architects of your behavior, the mental traps. These are not obvious. They masquerade as common thoughts, daily habits, and logical excuses. But behind their mask is a force that slowly strips your power. Once you see them, you can dismantle them. This is the path of clarity, of power, of true freedom. And this journey doesn't require more effort. It requires better awareness. Let's begin. There's a silent thief that creeps into your mind every time you scroll, every time you see someone else's highlight reel. And it's called comparison. It doesn't shout, it whispers. It doesn't ask you to hate yourself outright. It just quietly convinces you that you're not enough yet, that you should be further, that someone else is doing life better than you. And suddenly, your small wins feel meaningless. Your journey feels slow. Your progress looks like failure. Not because it is, but because you're measuring it by someone else's ruler. This is how the trap of comparison begins, unnoticed, disguised as ambition, dressed like inspiration. But inspiration that leads to self-sabotage is not inspiration, it's poison. It eats away at your focus. It convinces you that your path is broken simply because it doesn't look like theirs. It manipulates your inner peace, distorting your perspective until your worth depends entirely on someone else's success or timeline. And here's the truth that stings. You cannot fully grow if you're obsessed with someone else's garden. The monk path is not about outrunning others. It's about outgrowing yourself. You have your own season, your own pace, your own rhythm. But the moment you turn your gaze outward, to compare instead of connect, you lose alignment with your path. You begin reacting instead of creating. You chase instead of becoming. And the worst part is, most of what you compare your life to is a lie. You see the post, not the process. The smile, not the storm. The curated version, not the chaotic behind the scenes. You weren't born to be like them. You were born to be you. But a clearer, stronger, more awakened version of yourself. That version only unfolds when your energy returns inward. And comparison steals that energy. Every time you fixate on someone else's chapter, you delay the writing of your own. Every second you spend doubting your direction because of someone else's destination, you move further away from what was meant for you. So how do you break this trap? You become aware of when it's happening. You catch the comparison in real time, not with judgment, but with clarity. I see what my mind is doing. I see that I'm comparing. I see that it's stealing my peace. And then you return home to your journey, your pace, your intention. You remind yourself that growth isn't a race. The bamboo tree stays underground for years before it ever breaks the surface. And once it does, it grows feet within weeks. You may be in your underground season, and that's still growth. When monks train, they are not looking at each other. They are watching themselves, not for ego, but for discipline. They understand that mastery doesn't happen in a crowd. It happens in silence, in repetition, in alignment. You don't need more speed. You need more stillness. Not stillness in your actions, but stillness in your mind. That's where focus returns. That's where strength is rebuilt. The trap of comparison weakens you because it splits your energy. It scatters your focus. You end up chasing validation, admiration, and recognition, none of which sustain your soul. True strength isn't loud. It's quiet. It's built in solitude, nurtured in self-awareness, and reinforced by consistent inward attention. And that kind of strength can't bloom when you're constantly measuring how far someone else has gone. You are not late. You are not behind. You are not less. You are in your moment, and your moment is sacred. The only question is, can you fully embrace it? Can you trust that what's unfolding in you is just as worthy as what's being celebrated in others? Because the moment you can, the trap breaks. Let others inspire you, not define you. Let their wins elevate your hope, not shrink your worth. And when you begin to master this shift, your path clears, your energy sharpens, your actions align. You begin to build instead of compare. And that's when your true power rises, not from imitating others, but from finally becoming all of who you are. You think the world is loud, but the truth is, the real chaos is within. It's not the notifications or the news or the people shouting their opinions that truly overwhelm you. It's the 1,000 unprocessed thoughts echoing in your mind when the world goes quiet. And it's not your fault. You were never trained to hear silence. You were trained to fill it. We've been conditioned to equate silence with discomfort. As children, we turn on the TV to avoid the stillness. As adults, we scroll to avoid the thoughts. Every free moment becomes a race to distract, and without knowing it, we begin to fear our own mind. We keep filling it. More data, more opinions, more stimulation, until our inner world becomes louder than the outer one, until peace feels foreign and presence becomes rare. But monks understand a profound truth: silence is not emptiness. Silence is the mirror of the mind, and what it shows is not always pleasant. That's why most avoid it, because in silence there is no one left to blame, no one to perform for, no filters to hide behind, just you and your thoughts. And that's where the real training begins. The untrained mind will jump from one worry to the next like a monkey, never still, never grounded. It clings to the past, fears the future, and resists the present. And the more noise you feed it, the louder it becomes, until eventually you forget what your own voice sounds like. You begin to think every thought you have is true. Every urge, every fear, every criticism. You mistake it for fact. You react not because you choose to, but because you're trained to. By a mind that was never taught how to pause. But there is a way back. A monk's mind is not special. It is disciplined. It has been carved through repetition. It's not that monks never get distracted. It's that they return to focus. Again and again, they return to breath, to stillness, to observation, and every return sharpens the blade of awareness. You can do the same. You don't need a temple. You need intention. Start with noticing. Noticing when your thoughts spiral, when your emotions swell, when your mind pulls you into a story that isn't helpful. Don't judge the thought. Observe it. Label it gently. This is anxiety. This is fear. This is distraction. When you name it, you tame it. You reclaim your power from it. And in that moment, you become the observer, not the reactor. There's a gap between stimulus and response. That gap is everything. That's where your discipline lives, your awareness, your freedom. But the noise inside you tries to close that gap. It tells you to react instantly, to judge fast, to defend, to attack, to avoid. And every time you obey, you reinforce that reactive pathway. You deepen the noise. But when you pause, even for one breath, you begin to rewire your mind. You carve a new path, one of presence. This is not easy. It's not instant. But it's possible. You were not born reactive. You were trained to be, which means you can untrain it. You can rewire it. Every time you pause and choose presence over panic, silence over stimulation, clarity over chaos, you are healing your mind. You are returning to your power. The monk's method is not about escaping the world. It's about mastering your response to it. The noise will always exist, but it does not have to rule you. What matters is not what's happening out there, but how you process it in here. If your inner world is stable, the outer world loses its grip. That's why monks can remain calm in a storm, not because the storm isn't real, but because their roots are deeper. You can't control every thought, but you can control which ones you feed. You can choose what you focus on, and that focus will shape your life, because what you focus on grows. So feed your stillness, feed your awareness, feed your breath, and let silence become your strength, not your fear. You don't realize how often you let the outside world dictate your inside world. One message ruins your morning. One rude comment hijacks your peace. One memory drags you back into pain that has no business living in your present. And yet, we walk around believing this is normal, that this is just how life is. But it's not life. It's a lack of inner discipline. It's the result of living attached to every passing thought, emotion, and reaction like they are who we are. The monks live by a simple understanding. The more you are attached to what you cannot control, the more you suffer. But when you detach, not in apathy, but in awareness, you begin to master your emotions. You begin to respond instead of react. You begin to choose your state instead of being dragged by every shifting condition. Detachment is not about withdrawing from life. It's not about ignoring pain or suppressing emotion. It's about recognizing what is yours to carry and what is not. It's about knowing that you are not your thoughts, and you are not your emotions. You are the observer behind them. And the observer has power. When you're caught in traffic and frustration rises, it's not the cars that are the problem. It's your expectation of how things should be. Detachment teaches you to notice that expectation, to release it, and to accept what is, not in defeat, but in clarity. That clarity is what gives you peace. That clarity is what monks carry, not because life doesn't challenge them, but because they've trained to meet life without being owned by it. Most people walk around thinking their emotions are facts. If they feel anxious, it must mean something is wrong. If they feel rejected, they must be unworthy. But those emotions are weather patterns, not permanent climates. Detachment is learning to watch the weather without becoming the storm. It's saying, this feeling is here right now, but it doesn't define me. It will pass. And the moment you can witness your emotions instead of drown in them, you reclaim your power. Every day, the world gives you 1,000 invitations to lose your peace. A phone call, a headline, a delayed response. And without training, you accept all those invitations. You give away your stability like it's nothing, but it is everything. Detachment teaches you to stop outsourcing your peace. It teaches you to stay centered even when everything around you is trying to spin you off course. Monks don't wake up enlightened. They wake up to train. Detachment is a practice, And every moment of your life gives you an opportunity to train. The next time you feel triggered, pause. Ask yourself, is this emotion mine? Or is it something I'm just attached to? That question alone can create a shift. It creates space. And in that space you have power. Power to let go. Power to breathe. Power to see clearly. And let me tell you something, that space, that breath, is more valuable than any opinion, any argument, any rush to prove something to someone who isn't even thinking about you. When you detach, you no longer need to win every battle. You no longer need to chase validation. You no longer need to carry burdens that were never yours to begin with. The power to detach is the power to decide. Decide how you want to live. Decide what you want to feel. Decide what deserves your energy and what doesn't. This is not indifference. It's intentional living. It's peace, not because the world is peaceful, but because you've stopped letting it pull you in every direction. Monks master this through breath, through stillness, through mindfulness. But you don't need a robe or a mountain. You just need a willingness to observe instead of absorb. To notice your reactions before you become them, and to choose your inner world over the chaos of the outer one. In a world that glorifies reaction, detachment is rebellion. It's the quiet, steady force that says, I will not be owned by what I cannot control. That force lives in you. It's been waiting. Train it, strengthen it, and you will become unshakable. Before we continue, I want you to take a moment, just pause, breathe deeply. Ask yourself, where am I giving my power away today? Think about it. Is it a thought that won't leave you alone? A person who controls your mood? A situation you keep replaying? Now, if this message is awakening something inside you, if it's helping you reclaim even a small part of your peace, then share it. Right now. With one person who needs to hear this. Because sometimes a single idea can shift a life. And while you're here, drop a comment below. Tell me, what's one thing you're going to detach from today? Your answer might just inspire someone else to start their healing too. And if you haven't already, subscribe, because this journey doesn't stop here. There's more to unlearn, more to train, and more to become. The power of the mind is not just in thought. It's in the space between thoughts. It's in the gap, that silent observer who watches your emotions rise and fall without being pulled into the drama. Most people never meet this inner presence. They live entirely from reaction, jumping from emotion to emotion like fire spreading through dry grass. But a trained monk doesn't live like that. He watches, he waits, he listens deeply to the moment before choosing how to act. Training your inner observer begins with one thing: stillness, not the absence of noise, but the practice of not reacting. Imagine being in a room where everyone is arguing and you decide to say nothing. You sit, you breathe, you feel the heat of the moment pass over you without catching fire inside you. That is the observer. He is your spiritual warrior, always alert, always grounded. But this isn't easy. The modern world conditions us to react instantly. Notifications demand our attention. News headlines spark outrage. Conversations are designed to provoke. We've been trained to respond, not to reflect. We've been rewarded for fast answers, not wise ones. And so the observer inside us has fallen asleep, dormant, unused, weak. But he's not gone. You can wake him up. Start small. In the next conflict you face, before speaking, pause. Ask yourself, what am I feeling? What is real here? What is just noise? That small delay, it's where freedom begins. Because once you step back, you are no longer the emotion. You are the one witnessing the emotion. And that changes everything. When monks begin their mental training, They are not taught how to control the world. They are taught how to observe themselves, their thoughts, their reactions, their attachments. Observation is the first mastery. From it, all other control flows. Why? Because if you can't see what your mind is doing, how will you ever train it? The observer sees the pattern. He recognizes the lies your thoughts whisper to you. He sees the moment your ego rises or your fear grabs the wheel. And instead of being dragged into the story, he breathes, he listens, he chooses. And this is where true power begins, in conscious choice. The observer is not cold, he is not emotionless. He simply knows that emotions are waves, and no wave lasts forever. He knows that panic is temporary, that anger is a storm passing through the sky of your awareness. He doesn't deny the emotion, he just doesn't become it. This is what separates monks from the masses. Not their robes, not their chants, but this ability to watch without being swallowed. There is strength in this detachment. There is calm in this awareness. And the more you train it, the more resilient your mind becomes. You begin to live above your reactions, not below them. You move from being a victim of thought to being the master of mind. And here's the truth, the observer is already within you. He has been since the beginning. You've felt him before. In those moments when you caught yourself about to lash out and chose not to. In those seconds where something inside said, wait, breathe, don't go there. That was him. That was your deeper self pulling you out of autopilot and back into consciousness. You don't have to be a monk to train this, but you do have to commit. You have to make observation a daily practice, not once a week, not when you're in a crisis, but every single day, in how you walk, how you eat, how you speak, how you think. Each moment becomes a training ground. Each breath, a reminder to return to yourself. There is one practice many monks follow before responding to anything. They mentally repeat a mantra. Is this reaction coming from peace or from fear? And if the answer is fear, they wait. They sit. They observe until clarity returns. Imagine how your life would change if you did this. How many regrets would you avoid? How much emotional energy would you preserve? This is your invitation to begin today. Start observing yourself as if you were watching a student, with compassion, with patience, with curiosity, not to judge, not to criticize, but simply to understand, because when you understand the mind, you are no longer enslaved by it. You are free. And that freedom, it's not found in some distant monastery. It begins right here, with your next breath. Every human being has energy, not just physical strength, but mental, emotional, spiritual energy. And where that energy flows, your life follows. The problem is, most people are unconsciously bleeding energy every single day. They're drained not because they're weak, but because their energy is scattered, fragmented, pulled in every direction by distractions, by negative thoughts, by people who don't deserve that access. And they wonder why they feel so tired, so lost, so out of control. But a monk doesn't live like that. He guards his energy like a sacred fire. He knows that if his attention is scattered, his power is scattered. That's why the monk's first discipline is clarity. Not through control, but through awareness. He learns to redirect the chaos of the mind into a single focused stream. A stream that nourishes instead of depletes. A stream that cuts through confusion like a blade through fog. The world around you is built to pull you away from that focus. Social media thrives on your distraction. The news profits off your anxiety. Even your own habits. Checking your phone constantly, worrying about things you can't control. They all become leeches that suck away your energy and leave you depleted. And when your energy is low, your focus suffers, your peace suffers, your purpose begins to fade. Redirecting your energy doesn't mean you fight these things with force. It means you choose where to place your attention with full intention. You take your power back moment by moment, breath by breath. You start by asking one simple question: is this fueling me or draining me? And when you realize that a conversation, a thought, a pattern is draining you, you stop feeding it. You withdraw your attention and bring it home to yourself. The monks call this returning to the center. It's the practice of anchoring your energy in the present, not in past regrets, not in future worries, but in the still point of now. From that center, everything becomes clearer. You begin to see what's truly important, what's just noise, what's worth your time and what isn't. And slowly, the fog starts to lift. Your thoughts settle. Your path reveals itself. Clarity isn't loud. It doesn't come with fireworks. It comes with silence, with simplicity, with the gentle power of presence. The monk doesn't need external motivation to stay disciplined. He is fueled by the peace that comes from within, a peace that arises when energy is no longer wasted on chaos, but invested in calm. When attention is no longer reactive, but intentional, the practice begins with awareness. Notice what pulls you. Pay attention to how your body feels after scrolling, after overthinking, after being around certain people. Do you feel more alive or more depleted? That's your compass. And once you begin to notice, you begin to change. You stop giving your energy to things that offer nothing in return. You stop renting space in your mind to doubt, fear, and insecurity. Redirecting energy also means returning to rituals, simple, grounding habits that align your mind, body, and soul. Breathing, stretching, silence, nature, journaling, stillness, these are not just spiritual accessories. They are tools to bring your scattered self back into wholeness. Every time you return to the breath, you are saying, I choose clarity over chaos. Every time you pause before reacting, you are declaring, my energy is sacred. And here's the most powerful part: the more you practice this, the more your external life starts to change. People will notice something different about you. Your presence will become sharper. Your speech will become more deliberate. Your choices will reflect alignment. Because a focused mind doesn't just change how you feel. It changes how you live. It magnetizes the right opportunities, repels the wrong energies, and builds a life that reflects inner discipline. There will be moments when you slip, when your energy feels scattered again. That's okay. That's part of the path. The key is not to punish yourself. It's to return again and again, like the monk returns to his breath, his mantra, his walk. You come back to what centers you. That's the real training, not perfection, but return. You were never meant to live in constant noise. You were never designed to be reactive all the time. Your nature is stillness. Your core is clarity. Beneath the storms of thought is a mind like calm water, waiting to reflect the truth once the wind settles. That clarity is not something you earn. It's something you uncover. And you begin uncovering it by redirecting your energy from everything that scatters you to everything that strengthens you. So today, don't just react. Choose. Don't just scatter. Center. Don't just run. Return. The more you train your energy to flow in one powerful direction, the more unstoppable you become, not because of what you fight against, but because of what you rise above. In a world addicted to speed, noise, and stimulation, the greatest rebellion is to be still. You are not weak. Your mind has simply been overtrained to react and undertrained to reflect. But now, you're learning to reverse that. You're learning to breathe instead of panic, to focus instead of flee, to respond instead of react. The way of the monk isn't about escaping life. It's about meeting it with clarity, depth, and intention. Every time you choose stillness over chaos, awareness over distraction, you reclaim a piece of your true self. So today, make a decision. Don't let the world pull you into fragments. Return to your breath. Reconnect to the center. Let go of everything that drains you, and begin living from the place within that nothing can disturb. You are not powerless. You are simply being called to remember who you are beneath the noise. If this message spoke to you, don't just scroll away. Subscribe for daily inner power. Comment below, what one distraction are you ready to let go of? Or share this video with someone who needs to return to their center. And get ready. Your next transformation begins in the next video.